Lucy, firstly, huge congratulations on winning the Best Partnership Marketing Campaign in this year Hotel Marketing Awards. It's a great pleasure to be here with you at the Grove, just to really discuss and have the opportunity to talk about that campaign and that campaign specifically, what made it so successful. So thanks so much for joining me here today in our discussions. And for the benefit of our audience and the people watching this, would you mind introducing yourself, what you do, and what it is that you're responsible here at the Grove for?
Thanks for having me. I'm Lucy. I am the marketing director here at the Grove, and with an amazing team, I look after all of our marketing, funnily enough, and that includes our PR, our partnerships, all of our activations, all of our digital channels, so website, CRM, social, PPC, SEO, graphic design, also within my team, and lots of other things, but basically all of our marketing mix. We work with a couple of agencies, but mostly we do it in-house with a really amazingly talented team. So I'm really lucky to work with them all.
Amazing. Well, huge congratulations from the start and get-go. You must be doing something great. And obviously you're being recognized in the industry. So not deterring to all the areas of marketing really that you do, because we'll probably be sitting here for hours, and perhaps we may, but actually focusing on that Best Partnership Marketing Award and the Jo Malone campaign specifically that you launched last year, targeting your Christmas audience. Walk me through it. What inspired that campaign? What made it so successful? And what really initiated that project?
When there's a lot of people involved in anything, whether it's a campaign, a partnership, or anything, approvals and pace, momentum in something can be slow and really hard to keep on top of. And in this case, there was all of our team, but there was a very senior leadership team on our partner side as well. And I actually can't take any credit for it because it was actually Steph, our marketing manager, who ran this campaign and kept everyone ticking along. She was really following up all the time, making sure we were hitting our deadlines all the way through the project. And for Christmas, we started this in the summer, which is early. For most hotels, we suddenly think, oh God, in October, Christmas. But no, everyone, we need to do it early. And Steph really kept us all on track to make sure we got everything over the line on time, because obviously you need to go on sale. We had everything launched by September. So it's really difficult to do that when there's so many people involved. And that was definitely a learning for us, but managed to achieve it, which was really, really great.
So I'd love to hear your thoughts, how you targeted different segments and different areas within the business to drive overall TrevPAR and total revenue spend.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the rates, like everyone else, really increasing over the last, particularly since COVID. And for us, yeah, we actually have refurbished our rooms in that time, but it's more about value, adding value, and that's a big part of why we do partnerships. It gives people a reason to come back, but it also gives them added value to their experience. And you spoke about Everyman, that is included in your room rate if you stay overnight. But when we look at partnerships, we look at it from a residential and a non-residential perspective. And for the Jo Malone London partnership, it was all focused around the mansion. So we had specific Jo Malone London experiences for the mansion guests. They got a free gift in your room. There were obviously the afternoon teas were taking place in the mansion, etc. But a lot of the activation was not exclusively for residents, and that it makes it a lot more accessible, really. People could come for afternoon tea, they could come for masterclasses, they could shop in the shop. And the other thing was the decorations around the hotel created an enormous social media buzz because everyone who was on site was taking photos with them. And that just really made the partnership reach enormous. We also did a couple of press events with them, but it was actually the on-site decorations that, not just from the press events, but from just visitors to site, that really created that buzz. But I think the most important thing is that the partnership was accessible to everyone. It wasn't necessarily exclusive to top tier suites or residents. There was a way for everyone to experience it in whatever their price point or whether they were local or not. So that was really important to us, and I think something that delivered very effectively.
I love it. And obviously we're solely kind of at the moment still discussing that brand partnership opportunity. But I'd love to, you mentioned about KPIs and performance. Is there any KPIs you're able to share with us of what actual impact that had on the hotel and its operations and its profitability, I suppose? Is that something that you can relate with us today?
Yeah, sure. I mean, what our mansion sales over the period were massively up. I can't remember the percentage off the top of my head, but massively up. And afternoon tea during that period, so that period was a month, basically a month. It was 25th of November till, it was a bit longer than a month, 25th of November till the 1st or 2nd of January. And during that period, we sold twice as many afternoon teas as in 2 months before.
Wow.
So it was a massive uplift. All of the masterclasses sold out, and that's just additional revenue. Um, Interestingly, the masterclasses were much more popular for non-residential than residential. Um, and the shop, um, we had a revenue target from the shop, and it
Wait.
massively beat that. And the shop was only open 4 hours a day. But it really exceeded that. But that's obviously just from a revenue perspective. And actually from a marketing perspective, it's essential for us that we are able to market on our partner channels. We won't do a partnership if that's not possible, because like you said, it needs to feel like a partnership. And from that perspective, like I said, the social media was amazing. The PR events we ran were amazing. But we were also featured in their email newsletters, on their website. And this is a huge global brand. So for us, that's an incredible amount of value. So those things are really important to us in these kind of partnerships.
In that campaign specifically, however, I'd love to hear how you use that element of technology to really reach out to that different target audience. Market trends are changing, of course. There's different demographics, booking, different segments, and whatnot. I'd love to hear your thoughts in terms of how you've been able to successfully implement that campaign, maximize outreach, definitely from a PR standpoint, influencer standpoint, how it, what tools, whether it's your website, digital marketing activities, that really contributed to that success of that campaign.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of rebranded our Christmas pages on the website in line with the campaign. And obviously, our email marketing, our CRM is a huge part of reaching our audiences, and it's really engaged, especially our local audience. But like I said, it was really important that we had coverage on Jo Malone London's channels as well. And that obviously opens us up to a huge new audience. And the booking engine is obviously helpful because we had to take bookings, but it wasn't really, I guess, tailored specifically. Obviously, you mentioned the packages on the booking engine and things, but the masterclasses and afternoon teas and everything were obviously booked through Seven Rooms, which is our F&B platform. Which you can create events and things in there as well. So, I mean, yeah, it's helpful.
And kind of in terms of a mention or a focus to technology partners like ourselves, really, what would you recommend to technology partners like Profroom? How can these partners and technology suppliers really support hotels like the Grove to their continued success?
Um, There's so much. Everyone at the moment like you said, hospitality is very slow on the tech adoption. And it's kind of a bit crazy when you think about it because, well, it's not crazy. We're a hospitality business and that needs to be our focus. But actually, if you take a step back, we're an e-commerce business. And before we're able to be a hospitality business, we have to be an e-commerce business. And if you compare the e-commerce of the hospitality industry to retail or any other e-commerce business, it's quite a shock in how that, I hate the term tech stack, but how that works. And everyone at the moment is in a bit of a flap about their tech stack, for want of a better word. But I think in terms of partners, one of the things that's really important for us is we're looking at a lot of integrations, and so many platforms and things have open APIs, but really what does that mean in terms of, are we actually able to integrate everything? Because that's where we're trying to get to, is that, a single customer view, all our systems integrated. And it's not easy. We have a complex operation. We have many restaurants, a spa, a golf course, lots of hotel groups have many, many properties with even more complex operations. So it's not easy. And you can understand why it hasn't always been the forefront, because the guest should be the forefront. But actually, it is about the guest, and it is about them having a more simple experience, being able to tailor their bookings and getting a response as quickly as possible. All of those things that, you know, consumers demand now, I think is really how tech partners can help us.
Branding and partnership marketing is not always a strategy that hoteliers in the industry see as a growth opportunity. They see it as a challenging, time-consuming activity that doesn't necessarily bring stuff to fruition. What would you actually advocate to the industry, to other industry leaders like yourself, where they're struggling with perhaps internal politics with owners or senior further management up the chain, where they do not see that value in that partnership marketing? And what would you kind of share with these people where, if they're struggling with that internal politics of getting something, a sign off into partnering, let's say with Jo Malone, which you've had the great opportunity to do so, or any other partnership as a matter of fact, how would you suggest they try and overcome those hotel discussions internally on the back of house, really?
Yeah, it's tricky. I'm lucky that I work for a business who absolutely believes in the value of this kind of activity. So it's it's not usually a struggle, which is great. But obviously, it needs to make sense commercially, and it needs to not feel one-sided. I'd say something that's really important is to agree in writing from the beginning exactly what marketing they will give you as well, and exactly who's paying for what. Because then there's no surprises. If you're clear from the outset, you know what's being covered from a commercial perspective, what the commercial agreement is, and also what the marketing agreement is, you should be able to go to the whichever stakeholders you need to and say, this is what we're going to get from it. And obviously you can do forecasts and projected revenues and things. You don't necessarily know that, but you know you can kind of get a good idea. But the added value, what are you going to get from a marketing perspective, a brand perspective, and what are they going to also bring from a partner perspective is really important. And usually if you're in a good partnership agreement, it's huge, like what you get from it. So I think just being really clear on that from the beginning is always going to help.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you mentioned ROI, and I suppose in the ever kind of challenging economic climate at the moment in the UK, it's always an element of ROI and what we can predict to get in return for that. I'd love to hear like how you build a commercially minded team where it's, you know, that whole put in place those hotel marketing strategies without losing that kind of creativity within the marketing team or service excellence. Where how can you build an effective strategy commercially minded first? Is there certain practice you can relate to that?
Yeah, for sure. I think just being open about the numbers.
Mhm.
I mean, once a month, we'll sit down with my team and take them through the numbers on of the hotel, how it's doing, what's the performance looking like. We do the same for specific campaigns. So, what are the sales looking like? Are they more or less than we had targeted? But then also look at our marketing KPIs. Like I said, traffic, conversion, even things like social, and obviously our revenue through CRM, all of those things that are really important for us. But we are on the numbers. And I think it's quite common for marketing teams to think, oh, the numbers aren't really my business. But actually, it's so rewarding for the team and for myself to see, wow, look how amazing this campaign did, or look how much revenue that email drove, or look at our conversion rate on the website this month. And actually, it's so satisfying when you go and say, we had our largest traffic ever on the website last month. What caused it? And you can directly see a spike from, well, this is an actual example. In June, we announced our partnership with Hawksmoor, and we had our highest ever revenue.
So you're able to share some partnership updates.
Oh, it's
Is it?
happened. It's
Okay,
happened.
perfect.
This weekend was the last weekend of it.
Well done.
But we announced it in June, and then we did 2 weekends in August. And yeah, we had our highest ever traffic to the website that month, and that was driven by the direct referrals from the Hawksmoor website. I mean, if that's not an advert for partnership marketing, like what is?
Love that. Stay tuned for episode 2 next year and the best partnership marketing
But yeah.
strategy for 2026
Yeah.
now.
But it's just those, and you can tell I get excited about those kind of numbers, because it's like, as a brand marketing person, you don't get to see those statistics very often, or you don't get to see those metrics so easily trackable so often. And when you do, it's amazing. And so when you're asking how you get the team to be commercially minded, it's really being on top of those numbers. And it's so motivating for everyone to understand that and see the growth.
When it's referring to kind of looking ahead,
Yeah.
however, how would you see technology and marketing working together to create a more emotional and experience-driven campaign between the two brands, in this case with Jo Malone or any other future early campaigns that you may have?
I think personalisation is just going to be a massive part of that. Being able to really understand our guest types and what they like and how they behave, and then being able to personalize experiences based on that will have a huge impact. Is something that everyone's trying to do more and more. But we really see the results when we are able to personalize things. And I think it's something that we consider when we're building a brand campaign or any kind of campaign, is how can we personalize this? And I think tech will play a huge part in us being able to do that. And also in the guests being able to personalize their own experiences as well. So I think that's a huge thing.
And last, Lucy, it's been great to chat with you for whatever time we've been actually chatting for at the moment. But I would love to look at how we shape the future and how we shape the future marketeers. So for the hotel marketers of the future, what are the lessons that you would share with them and you'd say they should focus on now?
Um, I think just stress less. I mean, I feel like when things are really stressful, there's always a solution. And I think maybe having that solutions orientated outlook is always going to help, rather than kind of panicking, trying to find a solution, because there always is one, is really important. And the other thing is, be nice to everyone you meet, because you never know when you're going to meet them later on in your career, and building that network. And I know it's really hard when you're young and you're scared of networking and talking to people, but it's such a small world, and people come up later on in life, and partnerships, for example, are built on relationships from people. Yes, it might be a great brand fit, and yes, it might work commercially, but essentially your teams have to get on or it won't work. And really being nice to people at the beginning when you first meet them, and building those connections. You never know when they're going to crop back up, or you never know when they're going to work for a brand that you might want to work with, or all of those things that are just really important, that I guess when you're younger, you don't really think about, because you're just like, oh, I'm scared to network. But it's really important.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And on that note, Lucy, I wanted to thank you greatly
you.
for the time we spent. I think we've managed to share some insights, really interesting new things that perhaps other people might have not heard previously. And to our audience watching and listening to us, thanks so much for listening to Lucy at The Grove. It's been a great pleasure, and looking forward to hearing from anyone soon as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.